it be unanimous?
Oh, very merry on birthday.
Very merry on birthday. Very merry on birthday to us.
The movie Alice in Wonderland is a classic by Disney. It's a colorful film that features strange characters, fun songs, and a curious girl. On the surface, it seems to be nothing but mumbo-jumbo nonsense. But is Alice in Wonderland really just random characters going through a wild dream? Or is there something more to the story? Today, I'm going to argue that Disney uses the song A World of My Own to show how the movie Alice in Wonderland is an esoteric journey of self and spiritual development. Today, we will be looking at the different elements of the song and relating them to the works of Manly Hall. Their chiefest study was to wrap up their secrets in fables and spin out their fancies in veils and shadows, whose radii seems to extend every way, yet so that they meet in a common center and point onely at one thing. Hello everyone, my name is Jacqueline Nicole, and in today's chapter of Discovering Disney, we will be learning the legend of Alice in Wonderland. Most of Walt's films, while he was alive, had a legend somewhere in the beginning that mapped out the underlying structures so the viewer could fully comprehend the message in his movies. Alice in Wonderland is no different. Alchemy and the esoteric can be quite convoluted, so we are going to stick with the book, The Secret Teaching of All Ages, written by the esoteric philosopher Manly Hall. This book will help clarify the legend Disney employs in A World of My Own, so that the rest of the film has more clarity. But wouldn't it be great if Disney gave us instructions on how to interpret A World of My Own? Disney starts the film with 2 laws. Alchemy and the esoteric have a lot to do with intuition, bringing light to how the universe comes to be, and other spiritual matters. Funny, Walt's films have a lot of these same themes in them. The laws that help a viewer understand what's going on in this Wonderland follow the same pattern. The 2 laws seem to tell us to follow our curiosity and to look a little deeper, but to trust our intuition when it's time to stop.
Yeah. And when you come to the end, stop.
The 2 laws that govern this movie are told by Alice in the beginning. They are the nonsense law and the contrary-wise law.
If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't.
And the second law that helps us understand this movie better?
And contrary-wise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would.
These laws are variations of alchemical teachings. The nonsense law is echoed in this passage. Woe to the seeker who accepts as literal the rambling allegories of the alchemists. Such a one can never enter the inner sanctuary of truth. And the contrary-wise law is a little bit more convoluted, but thankfully, Disney gives us a practical example of this law immediately after Alice defines it.
In my world, you wouldn't say, meow. You'd say, yes, Miss Alice. Oh, but you would.
Alice imagines Dinah being a human, but a human trained like it's an animal. This gives echo to another law of alchemy. 1 in essence, but 3 in aspect. In this trinity is hidden the wisdom of the whole world. And when we combine these 2 laws, we suddenly start to see things in a new light.
Yes, and I was hoping...
Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers. Turn out your toes, curtsy, open your mouth a little wider, and always say, yes, your majesty. Yes, your
Your Majesty.
Can you stand on your head?
Now that we have the laws that are going to govern the movie, we'll take a closer look at the song In a World of My Own. Since the claim of this whole video is that this song is a legend to how to understand the rest of the film, do you think that there would be images that convey that? Is there anywhere else in the film where Alice appears larger and has a conversation with a bird? What about shaking off a flower cap?
You barbarian!
Or what about losing a glove or hand?
And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? It's right. Do you think at your age it is right? Well,
Since alchemists talk in fables and allegories, we have to ask what they are. In the artistic and the literary world, allegories and metaphors are used as stand-ins. Both are devices that are used to compare seemingly separate things. Allegories are longer and typically use the totality of a story to relay a comparison, for example, Animal Farm. And we are also making the case that Alice in Wonderland is an allegory as well. But if allegories are the longer versions, metaphors are the mini versions. Metaphors are anywhere between a handful of words to a few paragraphs. Metaphors tend to compare two things without using the prepositions, such as like or as. And if Alice in Wonderland is an allegory, then A World of My Own would be the metaphors. But much like how Walt gives us laws to bring better clarity to the movie, there is also a key to understanding A World of My Own. Walt gives a statement right before going into A World of My Own that uses the preposition like.
You'd be just like people, Dinah. And all the other animals, too.
When we dissect the song A World of My Own, we separate it into the verses or the lyrics. So using this structure, we can break down the totality of the song and we can apply it to the movie later on. Since Alice told us that Dinah would be just like people, we can easily substitute cats and rabbits for people.
Cats and rabbits would reside in fancy little houses and be dressed in shoes and hats and trousers. In a world of my own, all the flowers.
So this first metaphor is simply put that people reside in houses and dress in clothes. The second line of this song,
all the flowers would have very extra special powers. They would sit and talk to me for hours when I'm lonely in a world of my own.
Walt lends us imagery to convey that the flowers are actually people around us. Manly Hall conveys that we are to be like a little busy bee. The bee is a symbol of wisdom, for this tiny insect collects pollen from the flowers, so men may extract wisdom from the experiences of everyday life.
How doth the little busy bee improve each...
Stop!
When we listen to people, we can extract wisdom from their experiences and we can understand who they are.
There'd be new birds, lots of nice and friendly howdy-do birds. Everyone would have a dozen bluebirds within that world of my own.
This one points to the attributes within people. It's a different kind of bird, should we say. As appropriate emblems of various human and divine attributes, the birds were included in religious and philosophic symbolism, that of pagans and Christians alike. Cruelty was signified by the buzzard, courage by the eagle, self-sacrifice by the pelican, and pride by the peacock. The ability of birds to leave the earth and fly aloft toward the source of light has resulted in their being associated with aspiration, purity, and beauty. And through their clear notes, the gods themselves were said to speak.
I could listen to a babbling brook and hear a song that I could understand.
Seas and lakes often represent life. The river of life is the source of the natural healing impulse that constantly reconstructs the organism. Manly Hall also makes note of this as well. The early philosophers and scientists, realizing that all life has its origin in water, chose the fish as a symbol of the life germ. The language and images used throughout A World of My Own are echoed throughout the movie Alice in Wonderland. Alchemists often use animals as symbolism for people. Manly Hall reinstates that alchemists use animals symbolically for humans in this statement. Fishes, insects, animals, reptiles, and birds appear in the religious symbolism of nearly all nations because the forms and habits of these creatures and the media in which they exist closely relate them to the various generative and germinative powers of nature, which were considered as prima facie evidence of divine omnipresence. Using the imagery and the understood metaphors from the song A World of My Own, the confusion of what is Alice in Wonderland starts to become a little more clear. Using guidance from Manly Hall, it is possible to bring a logical order to this film. The legend may be difficult to grasp at first, and to see through all the metaphors and allegories. The movie itself is quite intricate and convoluted, but when we look at the message from the esoteric and alchemy, we see that this logic holds up fairly well.
Nonsense. Once more, from the beginning. That's it, Dinah. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see?